Hello everyone. So for today's video, we're going to discuss the trigonometric functions of special angles, particularly the 30, 45, and 60 degree angles. Are you ready? Okay, so first we recall the equation of the unit circle, which is x squared plus y squared equals 1. Yan. So with that, we have this say we have this terminal arm which makes an angle of 45 degrees with the initial arm or this positive x-axis. So we say that we can associate a point, we called it the terminal point xy. Okay, so x represents this distance, the distance of that terminal point from the y-axis, so ito yun. And then the y coordinate, diba? Just like any ordinary point, it represents the distance of that point from the x-axis. So it's this, okay? And then what will be the hypotenuse of this right triangle form? Okay, notice that this hypotenuse is equal to the radius of this unit circle. Okay, so while this line segment is the hypotenuse of this right triangle, at the same time, it is also the radius of this unit circle, or say a radius of this unit circle. Okay, so it will be equal to 1. Okay, so we have a hypotenuse equal to 1, and this one is what we call the x. This is what we call the y, coming from the coordinates of the point. But since we have a 45-degree angle there, what we have is an isosceles right triangle, wherein y is also equal to x, or vice versa. Okay, since x is equal to y, or y is equal to x, we can actually substitute x to the y here, okay, since it also satisfies the equation of a unit circle. But more importantly, it also satisfies the Pythagorean theorem, since that forms a right triangle. Okay, so we have x squared plus x squared equals 1, coming from the Pythagorean theorem, wherein their legs are both equal to x, or can be represented as x, and hypotenuse can be 1, or is 1. So simplifying, we have 2x squared equals 1, or x squared equals 1 half, giving us an x equal to 1 over square root of 2, or square root of 2 over 2. Okay, since our y is equal to x, that means our y is equal to also to square root of 2 over 2. But from our previous lesson in Trigo, we know that x is associated with the cosine of theta, which in this case is 45 degrees, while y is equal to sine of that same theta, which is 45 degrees. So that is where cosine 45 degrees and sine 45 degrees come from. Okay, go to this one. Suppose the angle we have is 30 degrees. Okay, so this is our terminal arm. We can associate there a terminal point. Okay, xy, where this is the x and this is the y. Again, our hypotenuse of this right triangle is also 1. Again, that is coming from the radius of the circle. Okay, that is the radius of the unit circle, and at the same time, it's the hypotenuse of our right triangle. Okay, but we also take note that for the 30, 60, 90 triangle, which is this triangle over here, what we have there is the property that the shorter leg, which in this case is y, again, this is the x and this is the y, the shorter leg is half of the hypotenuse. Okay, it's half of the hypotenuse, while the longer leg, which is in this case is x, is square root of 3 times that shorter leg. So what we have is x times square root of 3 over 2, and y being equal to half of 1, which is 1 half. Okay, so 1 half times square root of 3, we have square root of 3 over 2. Again, we notice, or we recall, that x is equal to cosine of the angle here, which is 30 degrees, and y is equal to sine of the same angle, sine 30 degrees. Okay, so that is where cosine 30 degrees and sine 30 degrees come from. Okay, if we have a 60-degree angle, okay, so 60-degree angle is the same as actually pi over 3. So it's like dividing this pi, diba? Half of the circumference is pi. Ito yun. Ito yun, kalahati ng unit circle. So if you divide it by 3, parang you have this part. And then this part, pi over 3 yan eh. Okay, kanina yung 30 degrees natin is actually pi over 6. Okay, so this 60-degree angle, again, pag may theta tayo, it makes an angle of 60 degrees with this initial arm. This is our fixed initial arm. This is now our new terminal arm. And we can associate again a point xy. Again, we can form a right triangle there, wherein this radius is at the same time the hypotenuse of that right triangle here. This is our x and this is our y. This angle right here will be the 30-degree angle. This is again a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So this x now is the shorter leg. Sabi natin pag 30, 60, 90 triangle, this shorter leg is half of this hypotenuse. So our x will be equal to 1/2. Sabi natin yung longer leg is square root of 3 times this shorter leg. So square root of 3 times this one is square root of 3 over 2. Okay? So parang nagbaliktad lang sila nung sa 30 degrees. This time yung x or yung cosine 60 degrees, siya yung 1/2. Yung y na sine 60 degrees, siya naman yung square root of 3 over 2. Kanina sa 30 degrees, baliktad. Ito yung sine 30 degrees, ito yung cosine 30 degrees. Okay? To get the other trigonometric function. So these are the values we found from the previous discussions. We can now find the tangent theta, the cosecant theta, secant theta, and cotangent theta out of the given two. Okay, so tangent theta again is the quotient of this. It's sine over cosine. So it will be 1 over square root of 3. Pag ni-rationalize, it will become square root of 3 over 3. Cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine. So it will be reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2. Secant theta naman is the reciprocal of cosine, so it will be 2 over square root of 3 or 2 square root of 3 over 3. Cotangent theta is cosine over sine, so it will be square root of 3 over 1 or simply square root of 3. Okay. Again, for the next row, we have tangent theta equal to sine over cosine. So magka-cancel lang yung numerator and denominators, giving us tan theta equal to 1. Cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine theta. So it's originally 1 over square root of 2. So this will be square root of 2 lang. Okay? Tapos yung secant theta, since this sine and cosine are equal, we can expect that this will be equal to cosecant theta as well. So yung cotangent theta natin, again, it will be cosine over sine or the reciprocal of 1, which is also 1. Doing the same thing with the last row, notice that yung tangent theta natin, again, is sine over cosine. It will be square root of 3 over 1. Magka-cancel lang yung common denominator na 2. So square root of 3. Notice na naging equal lang siya dun sa cotangent theta. Yan. Tapos yung cosecant theta, it's the reciprocal of sine theta. Kanina sa cosine theta yun. So we can just copy this one. That's 2 square root of 3 over 3. Tapos yung secant theta is the reciprocal of cosine. So reciprocal of 1/2 will give us 2. Tapos yung cotangent theta naman, it will be 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2 or 1 over square root of 3. Kaya square root of 3 over 3 lang bali siya. Okay? So, ginamitan lang natin ang mga rationalization. Ni-rationalize natin yung denominator because we don't want a radical in our denominator. Okay? So, how do we easily? Yan, meron tayong trigonometric functions, a helping hand version. Yan, so ang gagawin natin, we assume that on the palm, so ready nyo yung palm nyo. Yan, so each finger represents our familiar or popular angle. So 0, this thumb here is the 0. Yan, tapos we have the index finger, that's 30 degrees. The middle finger is 45, ring finger is 60 degrees. And the cutest finger, the pinky finger, is the 90-degree angle. Okay? You imagine that at the middle of your palm, there is a radical or a fraction equal to square root of n over 2. Okay? Why is that? Kasi parang we can represent actually the sine and cosine us this fraction, okay? Yung sign natin will be the one on the left, the number of fingers on the left, tapos yung cosine function, yung the number of fingers on the right. That is where we'll be getting our n. So, sample, yung sa sign 0, di ba? 0 degrees. So, we're going to fold this index finger. So, sa kamay ninyo, sa palad ninyo, i-fold natin itong si 0 degree, yung index finger. Notice that upon folding this, there are no fingers on the left. So, that will give us an n equal to 0. Wala kasing finger na nasa left niya. Okay? So, 0 over 2 is 0. So, that will give you the sign of 0. Tapos, yung cosine naman, yung nasa right side. How many fingers do we have on the right? We have 4. So, that gives us a numerator here, or a radicand equal to 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So, this is 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. Ayan. So, magiging 1 lang po yung cosine theta natin. Okay? So, that's it. So, tingnan natin kung magagawa nyo yun sa susunod na angles. For the 30-degree angle, i-fold naman natin si index finger. Okay? So, pagka-fold natin ito, how many fingers are on the left? Ito yung sa sign. There is 1. So, palitan natin yung radicand natin ng 1. Square root of 1 is 1, so 1/2 lang yung magiging sine function natin. So, sine 30 degrees is 1/2. Okay? At ilan naman yung fingers na nasa right ng 30 degrees? There are 3. So, we're going to replace this by 3. Ayun siya. So, that gives us square root of 3 over 2. Okay. Ayun lang yun. So, pag 45 degrees, this time we're going to fold our middle finger. Fold lang natin siya. This time, ilan ng fingers na nasa left? There are 1, 2. So, that means we replace this 1 by 2. So, ayun, square root of 2 over 2 lang siya. So, that means ang sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Number of fingers natin sa right side, dalawa din. So, it's the same thing. Square root of 2 over 2. Ayan. Pagdating sa 60 degrees, ito naman yung ipo-fold natin. So, ang magiging nasa nasa left rather. Yung nasa left natin are 3 fingers. So, we replace this one, this radicand here by 3. So, magiging square root of 3 over 2 ito. Tapos, yung cosine theta, there is 1 finger on the right of 60. Kaya, square root of 1, masisimplify siya as ayun, square root of 1 is 1/2. So, we're going to write there 1/2. For 90 degrees, doing the same thing. Ilan yung fingers na nasa left side ng 90? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, we replace this by 4. Square root of 4 is 2 over 2. That gives us a 1. Tapos, yung cosine naman, yung nasa right side ni 90, there is none. So, there is 0. So, we have here 0. So, 0 over 2 will give us 0. Yun. So, that's how we remember this more easily. Kunwari, years from now, nakalimutan nyo na. At least, you have a way of recalling. Okay? Helps? Ayan. So, kunwari, ito naman. Gagamitin naman natin yung 45 degrees as a reference angle. Yan, pwedeng gamitin siya since we know it's also coterminal with 360 plus 45 which is 405 degrees. Diba? Pag umikot ka ulit, isang ikot pa sa unit circle, balik ka doon, 405 degrees. Ikot pa plus another ikot, we have plus 360, 405 plus 360. That's 765 I think. Ayan, pwede naman ding pabaliktad. So, kung pabaliktad ka, from here lagi ang ating initial point. So, going to that terminal point, that will give us 360 minus 45. So, that will be negative 315 degrees since we move from here. Ayan, to that terminal point clockwise. So, negative 315 degrees is coterminal with 45. Ayan, so ayun yung mga values natin, di ba? All trigo functions are positive. So, 45 degrees is equivalent to pi over 4. Again, we can imagine this pi here, ito yung kalahati ng circumference, being divided into 4 parts. So, ito yung kalahati, di ba? That's pi over 2. So, kalahati pa, pag ganun. Okay? So, ayun, pag ito ay pi over 4, what about the counterpart on the second quadrant? Ayan, yung second quadrant natin. Okay? Ang measurement natin is laging with respect to this initial arm. So, that will be equivalent to 135 degrees, this angle here. Laging ito yung theta natin. Okay? Pero ito yung reference angle natin. Kasi dito tayo nakaka-form ng right triangle, wherein this is our x, where in this case, it will be negative, tapos ito yung y. Okay? Notice that it's the same as the x and y here, except that this x here is negative. Okay? Ayun, so 135 degrees, yun yung angle natin dito. Kasi yun yung theta dapat, di ba? With respect to the initial arm. Okay? Although this one is yung ating with respect to the right triangle. They are supplementary actually, yung 45 tsaka 135. Okay? So, yun. Tapos sa third quadrant, ano yung counterpart niya? Yan, so sa third quadrant, if it's 135, that's 3 pi over 4 sa second quadrant. What about on the third quadrant? We have this. Yan, so this is 180. So nag-move pa tayo ng pag ganon, that's counterclockwise, no? So we have to add 180 plus 45. That means we have 225 degrees. So write natin dito 225 degrees. Ang counterpart niya is from pi plus pi over 4, that will be 5 pi over 4. Okay? What about its counterpart on the fourth quadrant? We can have this one as 360 degrees minus 45. So, it will be 315 degrees. Okay? Pwede rin natin isipin na this is coming from 270 plus 45. Kung gusto natin counterclockwise pa rin, so that will be 315 degrees. And 315 degrees coming from here, which is 3 pi over 2 plus pi over 4. Okay? Pwede rin naman from 2 pi, pag clockwise, minus pi over 4. And both will give us, what is 2 pi minus pi over 4? That will be what? 7 pi over 4. Okay? So, ayun, notice that this one will be the same numerically. In numerical values, all of this will be square root of 2 over 2. Yan. Notice that for the second quadrant, cosine is negative. It's the x value. The x value is negative on the second quadrant. On the third quadrant, both x and y are negative. So, this sine and cosine here will be negative. Okay? On the fourth quadrant, the sine function is negative. So, this is negative, whereas yung cosine function is positive. Okay. Let's do the same thing with 30 degrees. Yan. So, again, yung 30 degrees natin is coterminal with isa pang paikutin natin ng isa. Balik siya. 360 plus 30, that's 390. And again, you keep on moving along the unit circle. Just have to keep on adding 360. To go back to the 30 degree or the terminal point associated with the 30 degree angle. Okay? Kung gusto naman natin pabaliktad or clockwise from here, this is always our initial point. Pabalik, we are moving clockwise direction. That will be negative 330 degrees. Okay? Ayun, so those are coterminal with this angle. Okay? What about its counterpart on the second quadrant? Okay? So, that would be 180. Pag ganun, pabalik tayo clockwise, minus 30. Okay? What a 30 degree angle here. So, 180 minus 30 gives us 150 degrees. Okay? Doon tayo makakakuha ng associated x, associated y. Okay? Yun yung right triangle natin, which is exactly the same as the measurements of the sides of that right triangle over here. Okay? So, that is 150 degrees. Ano yung counterpart niya sa pi? That will be coming from pi minus pi over 6. Or it's like dividing this pi into 6 parts. Diba? Kaya pi over 6. Parang you can imagine na meron tayong line doon. And another imaginary line there. Naka-divide siya into 6 parts. Diba? So, ito yung kailangan natin na theta. this one here, from this initial arm to that terminal arm, that will be 5 pi over 6. This one is 5 pi over 6. Okay. Ano yung counterpart natin sa third quadrant? So, it's again coming from this initial arm, pag ganon, papunta dun sa terminal arm natin. So, it will be pi plus pi over 6. Yan, or 180 degrees plus 30 degrees, 210. Pero kapag ka naka-pi regions, that will be 7 pi over 6. Okay. Sa fourth quadrant, ang magiging counterpart niya is 360 minus 30. So, it's 330 degrees. Ang counterpart niya naman ay 2 pi minus, kasi clockwise, kaya nagma-minus tayo, 2 pi minus pi over 6. Or we can also imagine that we're considering this one, pi plus 5 pi over 6. This one is 5 pi over 6, diba? Plugging from this, diba? To there, to there. Okay. What is 5 pi plus 5 pi over 6? That will be 11 pi over 6. Again, it's the same as 2 pi minus pi over 6. Okay. So, magiging numerical values natin dito, positive 1/2 pa rin. Pero sa second quadrant, kaya cosine is negative. Dito naman, both are negative. Take note that we're preserving the numerical values. Third quadrant, both sine and cosine will be negative. Fourth quadrant, sine is negative, cosine is positive. Okay. These are very important kasi nagmamatter, sabi natin sa trigo, nagmamatter yung dalawang bagay, numerical value and the sign, as in SIGN. Okay. Next stop, 60 degrees. Okay, so 60 degrees is equivalent to pi over 3. We have already established the sine and cosine values associated with 60 degrees. Now, for its counterpart, dun sa second quadrant, we won't be making this long. Counterpart niya is 120 degrees. So, we write there 120 degrees. So, ang pi radians equivalent natin is 2 pi over 3. We can imagine dividing our pi into 3 parts. Yan, ito yung pi natin di ba? The upper half of the unit circle. Okay? So, ito yung 1, 2, 3 parts of it. Okay? Ayun, so ang kailangan natin is this part Okay? Pero pagdating sa third quadrant, we have this. Okay? So, we want a pi or 180 degrees plus 60 degrees. We're moving on a counterclockwise direction. What is 180 plus 60? That's 240 degrees. So, we write there 240. It's also equivalent to pi plus pi over 3. Pi plus pi over 3 is 4 pi over 3. Okay. And then for this one, another plus pi over 3. We have, or plus 60 degrees. 240 plus 60 degrees is 300 degrees. Okay. So 300 degrees. 240 plus 60 or 240 plus 60, yun yung 300. What about the pi radians? 4 pi over 3 plus pi over 3, we have 5 pi over 3. Okay? So, ayun. Parang sunod-sunod lang, no? 1, 2, 4, 5. Bakit siya lumaktaw dun sa 3 pi over 3? Kasi yung 3 pi over 3 is the pi. Diba? We can simplify that. The 3 and 3 will cancel kung 3 pi over 3. Yan, the 3 and the 3 will cancel. So, magiging pi na lang and that's equal to 180 degrees. Okay, ito yun. So, again, yung numerical values are the same. Here, second quadrant, sine is positive, cosine is negative. For the third quadrant, both sine and cosine are negative. For the fourth quadrant, sine is negative, cosine positive. Okay. Oh, so, if you want to practice, determine the value of the following. You can pause this video for a while if you want to answer this one first without looking at the answers on the succeeding slides. So you may pause this video to reflect and get a scratch paper to try answering this and assess your understanding of today's lesson. Okay? Okay, so let's check your answers. For number 1, we have cosine of 315 degrees. Ayan, we recall this diagram. Nasaan na yung diagram natin? It's the one associated with 45 degrees kasi yung 315 degrees, di ba yung 360? Yan, the closest multiple of 360 here is 360 degrees. That is equivalent to 360 minus 45 degrees. 360 minus 45 degrees. So that means dun tayo sa 315 degrees maglalanding. Okay? So 315 degrees is on the fourth quadrant. So cosine yung kailangan natin. So fourth quadrant, cosine positive. So square root of 2 over 2. Whereas yung sine naman ng 5 pi over 6, obviously, it's the one associated with 30 degrees or pi over 6. Yan. Since negative siya, we'll be moving from here in a clockwise direction. So pag ganon. Okay. So, yung negative 5 pi over 6 is coterminal actually with 7 pi over 6. Okay? Kasi yung pag ganun yung movement natin. So, nandito yung negative 5 pi over 6. This one. Okay? So, it's on the third quadrant. That's why this one will be negative 1/2. Okay? Nasa third quadrant daw kasi tayo. Okay? Okay, so let's check if you got numbers 3 and 4 correctly. So for number 3, we have negative 750 degrees. Ano kaya yung associated reference angle sa kanya? Notice that yung 750 is near 720. Yun yung multiple ng 360 degrees na malapit sa 750. So 750 is equivalent to 720 plus 30. Eh kung negative, that means it's negative 720 minus 30. So, we have this one. So, ikot tayo clockwise kasi negative. So, dalawang ikot kasi negative 720. Okay. Tapos, minus 30 pa, kaya pa-clockwise, no? So, minus 30. So, it will terminate right here. So, it's coterminal with positive 330 degrees, yung negative 30 degrees natin. Okay. Again, yung negative 750 is coterminal with negative 30 and at the same time with positive 330 degrees. So, ang associated reference angle sa kanya si 30 degrees, di ba? So, ang kailangan natin is secant. So, it will be the reciprocal of cosine. Sa fourth quadrant tayo. So, it will be positive 2 square root of 3 over 3. Okay? Sa cotangent naman, we have 16 pi over 3. So, ang malapit na multiple ng pi sa kanya is 15 pi over 3. 15 is the closest multiple of 3 associated with pi, di ba? So, 15 over 3 is 5. Okay? So, it is an odd multiple of pi. So, parang pi, 5 pi plus pi over 3. So, pi over 3 yung associated natin na reference angle. Okay? Again, the 16 pi over 3 is 5 pi or 15 pi over 3 plus pi over 3. Okay? Ayan. So, ito yung 15 pi. Ikot ka ng positive, di ba? So, hanggang dito magta-terminate siya. 5 pi is associated with this one. Tapos, plus pi over 3. We have this one. So, sa third quadrant tayo, it's coterminal with 240 degrees or 4 pi over 3. Correct? Ayan. So, parang lalabas, ano yung kailangan natin? Yung cotangent. So, it's cosine over sine. So, it will be 1 over square root of 3 or square root of 3 over 3. It will be positive kasi nasa third quadrant, cotangent is positive. Okay? Let's check your answers. Ayan, ito naman. We have cosecant negative 210 degrees. Ano kaya yung associated reference angle natin sa kanya? So, negative 210 degrees is negative, yung closest multiple ng 1/8 ng 360 or 180 degrees sa kanya? Si 180, no? So, negative 180 tayo pag ganun. Parang negative 180 minus 30. So, isa pang ganun. Kaya nandito tayo sa second quadrant. 30 degrees yung associated sa kanya. Okay? So, sa 30 degrees, cosecant is 2. Okay? Ayun. Kasi nasa second quadrant. 405 naman. Mas pipiliin natin isulat muna siya as 360 plus 45. So, 45 degrees yung associated sa kanya na reference angle. 360, di ba, plus 45. So, it's coterminal with 45 degrees, which is on the first quadrant rather. So, tangent yung kailangan natin. So, it's 1. Okay, so it will be 2 plus 1. So, the answer here is 3. I hope you got that one correctly. Paano naman yung sa number 6? Tangent of 9 pi over 4 minus secant of 10 pi over 3. 9 pi over 4 is equivalent to 8 pi over 4. Bakit 8 pi over 4? Kasi yung 8 is a multiple of 4. Okay? So, 8 pi over 4 is 2 pi. So, it's 2 pi actually plus pi over 4. So, ayun, ikot ka ng isa, 2 pi plus pi over 4. So, first quadrant na naman, tan is positive 1. First term is 1. What about the second 10 pi over 3? Ang closest multiple ng 3 is 9, diba? So, it's equivalent to 9 pi over 3. 9 pi over 3 is 3 pi. Add multiple of pi. Dito tayo. Plus pi over 3. So, dito. Sa third quadrant. Third quadrant, pero pi over 3. 60 degrees yun. No? So, dito. Second is 2 kung nasa first quadrant or fourth quadrant. Kaya lang, third quadrant to. Kaya we make this negative 2. So, it means meron tayong minus negative 2. The final answer this will give us is 3. Okay. Got this one correctly. For number 7, negative 225 degrees. Negative 225. So, less than 360 naman yun. So, isang movement lang tayo. Pero since negative, movement natin is clockwise. So, lalampasan niya si negative 180. Tapos plus negative 45 pa. So, it will be terminating somewhere here. So, negative 180 minus 45, that is your negative 225. Okay? So, negative 225, 45 is, where is our cotangent? Ayun, 1. Pero since nasa second quadrant, it will be negative 1. Okay? Si cosecant negative 750 naman, again, this is negative 720 minus 30. Negative 720 will be here. Pero pa-minus tayo, minus 30. So, fourth quadrant 30. Fourth quadrant 30. So, negative tayo kasi cosecant. It will be negative 2. Okay, so that will be plus negative 2. Final answer will be negative 3. Okay. I hope you're getting that. What about the next one? Cosecant negative 7 pi over 6. Again, lalampas to ng 1. Kaya, lalampas tayo ng negative pi kasi pwede siyang isipin natin na negative 6 pi over 6 minus pi over 6. So, negative 6 pi over 6 is negative pi. Tapos, minus, pa-minus, kaya clockwise direction, minus pi over 6. So, somewhere here, ito tayo. Second quadrant, so pi over 6, second quadrant, cosecant, positive. So, it will be positive 2. What about the next one? 11 pi over 4, so ang closest multiple natin si 12. So, 12 pi over 4 minus pi over 4. Okay? So, 12 pi over 4, ano yun? 3 pi, no? So, it will be in here kasi add multiple ng pi. So, 12 pi over 4 or 3 pi will be here minus, ay, pa-positive tayo eh, ganon. Okay? Minus, kaso minus pi over 4 kasi para maging negative 11 pi over 4. Ay, mali. Sorry. Dapat negative pala yung 12 pi over 4 tapos positive yung pi over 4. Okay? So, movement natin muna positive. Negative. So, negative 12 pi over 4, negative 3 pi will be here. Tapos, plus pi over 4, it will be here. Second quadrant, so it will be negative. Okay? Negative, tapos pi over 4, second, negative. So, we make this negative, square root of 2. So minus negative square root of 2. Final answer will be 2 plus square root of 2. Okay, so I hope you got 8 out of 8 in these exercises. Ayan, so that's it. Happy learning!